Tonight is not about timelines, blame, or speculation. 1 year ago, Ronald Dumas Jr. was taken from his life, his family, and his future. Tonight is about love, loss, and resilience, and the people who have lived every single day since December 15th, 2024, searching for answers and holding on to hope. This conversation is private, it's personal, and it's rooted in trust. Thank you for being here to reflect on the past year and where we are now. Tonight, I'm joined by Ronnie's family and friends, those who love him most and who have missed him most in the last year. We did this, a few months ago, and so tonight was kind of a chance to mark the 1 year anniversary since his abduction, and just kind of talk about what that journey has been like. So I'll let everybody just kind of go around and introduce yourself. We'll start with Talia.
Hi, my name is Talia Berryhill. I am the mother of Ronnie's two daughters.
I am Shakira Samples, and I am the mother of Ronnie's oldest, Kai.
Hey, I'm Ronald Dumas Sr. This is my wife, Brenda, and we are the parents of Ronald Leslie Dumas Jr.
And my name is Deidre, and I am a longtime friend of Ronnie.
My name's Byron Pillow. Um, Me and Ronnie are like brothers, but if we got to be technical, that's a longtime friend of mine.
All right, y'all, loosen up. We're like family. It's been a year since we started this journey together, and we've been through a lot. I've seen you guys through more than just the loss of Ronnie, and just there's so many things that have happened in the last year. Um, I want to talk about just really the whole situation and how it's unfolded. I remember a year ago just kind of seeing this on social media. The family um, was looking for like media to post about the story, but they couldn't get anybody to report on it. There was another story that was pretty hot in the media, and it was getting a lot of attention. And I remember reaching out to the media, and they didn't really know anything about it, couldn't really substantiate the story. So, Shakira, take me back to it was your post that I saw. So, kind of take me back to uh, what it was like once you guys realized that Ronnie was missing, something was wrong. W- what were the next things that you did, and like, how was that complicated?
Um, so it was extremely complicated, and the story you're talking about, I want to say that was like the Peeping Tom story that was going around, and all the news stations were covering that story. Um, so I just kind of felt like Ronnie's case kind of, or his story kind of was getting put on the back burner. I had a lot of news stations and employees or reporters from news stations reaching out to me, asking me questions, but they were waiting on approval to actually cover his story. So they would talk to me, kind of get a little information of what was going on, and then they were reaching out to law enforcement. And once law enforcement informed them that they had no evidence of foul play, they had no interest in covering the story. They were or either that or they were waiting on law enforcement to give them the go to cover the story. And I thought that was odd and frustrating.
Yeah, I do remember the story that was going around. I think it was that Peeping Tom story. One of the most critical things in a missing person case is actually getting law enforcement to authenticate it.
Mhm.
Just getting a poster with a logo on it, or getting them to, talk to the news channel, or getting them put into NamUs. And those are like, none of those three things were done right off the bat. So we just had a hard time kind of getting it going. I think once we came in and actually broke the story, then other media started feeling comfortable sharing it.
Mhm.
Um, and Ronnie's case was really a story before it was a story to us before it was a story um, to everybody else, I guess. It took a while for things to unravel. Um, you know, Shakira, tell me, like, when you started reaching out to friends and other people to what were those first moments like when you realized that something was going on? I know you and Talia were having conversations about, um, the missing aspect of the case, but, like, you started reaching out to other people, then you guys went together, to Tennessee. What was that like?
Um, you know, it was weird. We knew something was wrong, but at the same time, I think I was kind of like in denial. I was just kind of like waiting on the other shoe to drop. Like I'm waiting on him to call and be like, hey y'all, I lost my phones or, something like that. But the fact of we got the notification of his car being abandoned, and I'm thankful that they express shipped that letter, because if not, it may have been maybe a week or two before we had even gotten that information. The last we had heard from law enforcement, they had picked up, I'm guessing, his tag, and I really believe that um they thought more so that it was like a night out of fun, because there was no sense of urgency.
Remember,
So,
one of the first things that we learned was that Ronnie's car had been spotted going through the intersection of University and Wynn,
mhm.
and that was it. That's really all that we knew. Byron, had last seen him earlier in the evening the night before, and he was gonna go out, and then he never came back. Um, Byron, didn't you, like, fall asleep on the couch or something to wait on him to come home? Is he not in here? So, Mr. Dumas,
His mic is off.
when did you get the call that Ronnie was missing? And then what was going through your mind when you got that call?
Um, I was not a concern at first. I got it on a Tuesday. Of course, he was missing what, Saturday night into Sunday, correct?
Yeah.
Sunday into Monday.
Oh, Sunday
Oh,
into
okay.
Monday.
Mhm.
And I got the call Tuesday morning, and I forgot. I think it was Deanna called me. Deanna said Randy's missing. I'm like, I just talked to him on Saturday. Talked to him, his kids, talked to Taya. You know, he was having a good time, like he always does when he was with his children. I hear him around, I can hear them in his face, and he's talking to the girls and Kai, and it was a normal Saturday night conversation. So I get the call Tuesday morning. I'm like, missing. And at that point, I was not concerned. I'm like, okay, Ronnie, he doesn't live with neither two women. So I figured, okay, he's someplace else. But when I heard that he didn't go to work, that kind of got my antlers up there. Ronnie's not missing work. You know what I'm saying? He's not missing work. So that got me concerned. And after that, then we was going through back and forth with phone calls, trying to see what was going on at that point. But the first initial contact was I wasn't concerned until now it's days. Did you call his job? Yes, we did. Did you call his other job? Yes, we did. We heard from Randy. No phone call? No. So that's when your ear get up and you started thinking about there's something else going on.
Talia, tell me a little bit about Ronnie. Like, who is Ronnie? I've tried to stress in the media that more than a realtor, which that's what everybody knows him as, is the realtor of Huntsville. That more than that, he was a great father. You have two children with Ronnie. Tell me how great of a dad Ronnie is. Is she not here?
She just unmuted.
I'm here. I didn't hear the question. Apologies.
That's okay. I was saying that most everybody knows that Ronnie is a realtor, and that is the kind of the highlight of who Ronnie is on billboards and in newscasts. But I always try to stress that Ronnie is such a family guy, um, and just a remarkable dad. Can you talk a little bit about how how Ronnie is as a dad and uh, how you knew that he was missing, that sort of thing?
Um, Ron is a great father. I was first introduced to his fatherhood through Kai. And I saw how amazing of a father he was with Kai and is or was with Kai. Um, that's part of the reason why we knew he was immediately missing because he is so consistent. Um, he will call his children, he will call his family, he will check on everyone pretty consistently. So we knew by the end of Monday night that something was wrong. We automatically knew because he would have said something. And every Monday night he comes to the house and he does homework with the girls and we'll do dinner and stuff like that. So consistently throughout the week he would come visit the kids.
So he drops Kai off at Chuck E. Cheese. He goes home, he changes clothes, tells Byron he's going out. Deidre, you're the last person that talked to Ronnie. We know that that phone call took place when he was in the liquor store. What was that like?
Um, it was pretty much like a regular phone call. Usually when he's out, when I called him, I was like, "Oh, you sound like you're out." He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Well, all right. I'll just call you back, or just call me when you're done, or we'll talk tomorrow." He was like, "No, I'll call you when I'm done tonight." But he kind of mocked me a little bit, which that little thing kind of it was like, "Well, why you act like you want to get off the phone?" But he has that, like, he just be a little weird sometimes. But, it felt like a normal call. I highly expected him to call me back like he said he was going to, because that was one thing, he was consistent. Like she said, he's very consistent. And so anytime he told me he was calling me back, he definitely called me back. And if he fell asleep or something like that without doing it, he'll end up waking up at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, like, "Oh, dang, my bad. I fell asleep. Good night, Amore," something like that. But I didn't get anything. And that is when I was like, okay, something ain't right. And then it went into that morning and I just had this eerie feeling. I had a message waiting for Byron. And I even asked my sister, I was like, you got Talia's number, right? You can get in touch with Talia, y'all good? And she was like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just feel like something's wrong." And she was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Ronnie, I feel like something's wrong." I was like, "I haven't heard from him. He always calls me back, texts me something, even while he at work, or we'll talk when he's on his way to work." And I was like, "I haven't heard nothing." She's like, "Girl, please calm down. He fine. You're overreacting." I was like, "I don't think I am." And
Listen, I
so,
don't think any of us were really.
mm-mm,
You Shakira, Byron, like we immediately knew. We was like, wait a minute, you haven't talked to him, you haven't talked to him, you haven't talked to him.
yep.
We went through about
Right.
5 people, and the moment we realized that me, you, Shakira, Byron, Deanna, Ronnie, none of us had spoken to him,
Hmm.
something's definitely wrong because he is going to reach out to someone. That is how consistent he was. It's a beautiful
Extreme.
thing to be able to follow a man's footsteps and be able to say, hey, no, this man stood for this, and we know he stood for this. And the moment it didn't happen, we immediately knew something was wrong.
I remember when I first met with Shakira, Shakira, you had kind of I mean, you were very sure that something was wrong, but you kind of had a blank stare. Like you weren't sure how to navigate, what to do next. I think you guys I think you just went to Tennessee by the time I called up with you, but even there you didn't really make progress. It was kind of like a lot of back and forth and not a you felt unsure of like what was happening. Um, but I remember you having a bit of a blank stare, and I remember when I met with you, I just kind of explained to you the process of like what law enforcement's probably doing at this time, what we can do at this time. And one of the things that I recommended is that we set up our own command center, that we launch our own investigation, that we do our own work. Do you think that was instrumental in where we are today?
Definitely so. A lot of the information that we would hear later down the line, we were able to figure out amongst ourselves. Um, Between you, everybody that's associated with Blunt Force Media, and James Andrews, we got so much intel, just doing our own research. So I'm really glad that we did go ahead and set our own headquarters up, and then also that we hired James. He's definitely been instrumental.
I think a lot of families think, that once you tell the police that they're going to be out looking, and you do kind of think like they're riding around, they're looking, they're searching, they're out there, but every investigation looks a little bit different. We know
Mhm.
now that law enforcement was working in those very first days, even though we didn't think or we didn't feel like they were just working quietly. And that's typically what law enforcement does. So, I always recommend to people, you know, take action on your own. Don't just put it in the hands of law enforcement, because you can accomplish a lot on your own, just getting the community involved, getting the posters out there. I remember, going downtown, and we put posters under every windshield wiper of every car that we could find. We talked to every business owner. Uh, you know, I've kind of forgotten about a lot of the things that we've done, but we were just every day we'd wake up early and we would just come up with another plan. What can we do today? There were points of adrenaline in this case, and then there's been points of like burnout. Um, it's been a whole year, like 365 days. The media kind of circles back around, and they want an interview, today. It's always right now. And they're like,
Mhm.
it's always when something is hot. And a lot of times they'll not understand that we were talking about this yesterday and the day before and the day before that, in the middle of the night. We've had conversations at 1 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock. It's all hours and every day. I've been doing some interviews around the 1 year mark, and one of the questions that I was asked was, how's it feel like around the holidays for the family? And I said, really no different than any Friday night when Ronnie's supposed to show up and pick up his kids and he doesn't. I mean, this family is not just grieved at Easter, birthdays, holidays, um, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's every single night. They miss him. That's how constant he is in their lives. Um, I think that's not easy to grasp for a lot of people. There's a lot of broken families. And even though you guys are a blended, I guess it's called a blended family. I mean, you're a family. That's all I really know to call it. It doesn't feel different with Ronnie and Talia and her two kids with him versus you and Ronnie and Kai. They're all you're all together at all junctures,
Mhm.
and we have been like that throughout this whole thing. And different people have had different strengths, different weaknesses, but we've put all that together and combined it in an effort to do what we're great at. Deidre, you have been our social media like superstar, and a lot of the information that Shakira gave Blunt Force Media and James credit for actually came from the community. It was just getting on social media, getting the word out there, and then letting that chatter happen where we found out a lot of information. So how do you think instrumental it's been to like be in charge of the social media, use it every day, and what have you done, like, kinda what's been your strategy around the social media part of Ronnie's case? I do also I compare these cases kinda like, like a marketing campaign, like a business, like a brand, I know that's kind of weird to say, but you do have to market it. I mean, you got to get it out there, and you really got to work at that. So break that down for me a little bit.
So I mean, my whole thing was just being present. And I wanted to monitor comments and things like that just in case someone decided to be slick with something they're saying, if they knew anything, and just being present in all the posts. And I made sure to follow the news stations within Huntsville, I did Nashville and Memphis and Mississippi. I was following all of the top news stations out there. So that way, anytime something was coming up, I'll be able to kind of track it. It was intense, but I felt like it wasn't much I could do. I wasn't there physically with Shakira and Talia and Byron to be boots on the ground with them. So I felt like if I could contribute anything to finding, helping find him or get answers, that's where I could do it. So I made sure to just kind of stay on top of that stuff. And it's very important, highly important, because I mean, even if some of the information people bring to you is not totally accurate, it still gives you different things to kind of look through, kind of look at, and may make a light bulb click. So it's been very vital to do that. And if for me, it was good for me as well, because I felt like I was contributing something to his family and helping find him, and just kind of being able to keep up with what the community was saying. And one of the biggest things that I love is that the community has been in support the entire time. And so it's like, you have that concern, like, oh, the community, you're gonna have these negative people, you're gonna have this and you have that. And it hasn't been bad. Like, they've been in support of the family and really backing everything, and feeling like we've been feeling too, with the lack of certain things going on in the case. So while it's very vital, it's very important, it is also strenuous and heavy.
I feel
That
like
is
some
one.
of the I feel like some of the information that we collected throughout our investigation, maybe Huntsville Police Department even still doesn't know about.
No.
All the characters, I mean, there were so many. I did like over 60 background reports of just different people. You put in 1,462 screenshots of just, and I mean, we would be breaking it all down, like every single character. Um, Shakira, what do you think has been the hardest part of this whole 1-year process?
The hardest parts for me would be when we felt like something big happened. So it was literally like highs and lows. Um, like February 7th, they announced the warrants related to abduction. In my mind, I'm like, oh, yes, this is gonna get the ball rolling. They're gonna take this case seriously. I'm just thinking it was gonna blow up, and in a matter of time we would have answers. And again, after that, it was several months before we heard anything again. Then two of the suspects got arrested. Then it's like it's dead silent again. So that's difficult, because at any moment, we're desperate. So at any moment when we get some news, is that excitement, like, okay, yes, finally something. And you have that hope that, okay, it's only a matter of time now. In reality, is we're still waiting. Just now another waiting game.
I think we can look at that two different ways. We can look at that as, we get these bits of adrenaline and then it feels like a letdown after when things kind of settle back down and get stale. Or you can look at it as, in those stale moments, every once in a while we get a win. And that has inspired us to keep going. It has ramped us back up. It's given us the energy I think that we've needed to keep going. So thank God that we've had those little moments. Just this last week, I, there's been times where this case felt so silent. And just last week, the FBI says that they are working alongside HPD. So that was like just such a breath of help that, just that little message came across. Mr. Dumas, we call you Mr. Dumas, but Ronnie Dumas is what Ronnie went by. We know that Ronnie changed his name. That's how Ronnie pronounced his name. But you do pronounce your last name Dumas. You don't live in Alabama, and so how difficult has this been for you? I mean, I know you're working like multiple jobs, you're not here, you're not boots on the ground, so you're having to depend on everybody else. Um, how's that been?
It puts me in a uncomfortable situation, and while I look at this whole situation, that I'm not there, I wish I was. Not that I can change most anything unless the day in question, because we probably wouldn't went out together. You know what I'm saying? See, if I was there, um, and we got a good bond, so he probably told me where he was going. I don't know, but I would have been more hands on. I would have been more knowledgeable of what's going on at that time in his life. But no, I'm far away and I'm getting everything secondhand. And it has not been good for me. And I just got to see what the authorities come up with. I know we got two people in custody, and my thing is, uh, I just think they need to make them talk. 'Cause I know they know something, and we just got to make them talk. That's all to it. They know something, or they direct us to the next person who knows something.
Would you say that this situation and you being distant, that this situation has brought you closer to Shakira, Talia, your grandkids, that sort of thing?
Definitely. Well, through the years, I've always talked to them. When I call Ronnie, I'll talk to the girls. I would definitely talk to these ladies, not girls. I would definitely talk to those ladies. How y'all doing? Blah blah blah. I call sometimes Ronnie's not there. You know what I'm saying? So we have that kind of rapport that we can talk to each other without Ronnie actually being there. But we know he's been there, he's been through there and this and that. But I would still talk to them because regardless, they are the mothers of my grandchildren. So I need to have a rapport with them anyway.
Miss Brenda, how have you supported Mr. Dumas since all of this kicked off? I know he's a little hard to handle sometimes.
Sometimes. No, he's I've just been around him, supporting him, keeping his spirits up. I know it's hard. I'm trying to keep mine up too because I miss Ronnie. But yeah, I've been on him. I've been around him, helping him spiritually,
You know,
constantly.
once I got into touch with you and I was giving you updates every week. I told you, I would always answer the phone for you anytime you called, and you would call every once in a while in total despair. Just it just felt so empty-handed every time to talk to you. Both of you, and I've felt um a connection with you, but I felt helpless in a lot of times that we've talked. I wish that there was more that I could have given you in those moments. I know it must be difficult. Byron, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So you are Ronnie's roommate, and Ronnie's bedroom is there at your house. And we've talked a little bit about that, like what that's like. At first it just didn't feel normal that he wasn't there. But then, as that kind of settles and you're there left, with a constant reminder of that room, um, what is that like?
It has its moments. A lot of times it's good for me because I can sit on his bed. I grab one of his little shirts, his little pants, his boots with 8 inches to make himself taller, and I can take myself to a memory of us, doing something. Ronnie was sweater vest king. He had so many sweaters. We used to joke about that all the time, him and his sweaters. I can sit on his bed and I can just hear him talking to me sometimes. And but then I have moments where I just break down because it's like he's not here. You know. And I never thought, because like I say, our friend group was like 12 of us. And we had more. And when we lost them, we kind of was just like, we ain't gonna lose no more. And then for one of us to just go missing, just without a trace. And it's just like I had my feelings about the whole situation. I knew something was up, honestly, when he ain't come home. Like I say, I'm a very light sleeper. If you tap my door, I wake up. And I'm from Chicago. I still haven't lost my Chicago-ness. I feel like if you tap my door at 12 in the morning, there's gonna be some problems for you. But I wasn't thinking that at all. I was just so concerned, like where he was at. That's why when I woke up that morning, I started calling. You know, I called Talia first, and I called Shakira. And when we found out he didn't go to work, we knew so. That was my indication. Ronnie does not miss a dollar. He don't miss a penny, to be honest with you. So when him not going to work, I knew something was up. It's like when I explained to the police officers, yeah, I knew something was up because I was like, that is unlike him. That's not in his character to, miss making some coins. And, you know,
Talia, your daughters are young. I know, like, you have a very busy life. I told you the other day, I'm gonna get you a secretary, um, and a babysitter for Christmas
Please.
because every time I talk to you, you are so busy. There's so much going on, and they are so full of life. Um, there's been times in this investigation where like you've wanted to be closer to it, but we've kind of had it under control. And like you do have two young kids, so like going out on the search, it's we've needed to let you be a mom, but there's been other parts where you've shown up and joined right in with us. But one thing that I've noticed is like you and Shakira together, y'all have some kind of bond that I don't know if you had that before or if it's like gotten tighter throughout all of this, but you both have a special bond. How is like how has this situation brought the two of you closer together? How have you depended on each other? How have you supported each other? And what do you think like your future is like as parents to these children?
Um, I mean, really the same. Shakira and I developed our relationship far before this even happened. We've always figured out how to co-parent. Like that's important to us. We're all in a group chat together. We talk regularly and we speak honestly with each other. And I think that's why our dynamic work. Shakira's not going to hold her tongue at all. And so that works. And so speaking honestly, having an open dynamic is very helpful when you want to co-parent effectively. And family again is very important to Ronnie. So there wasn't any reason for us to create strife where there wasn't needed to be. We want a peaceful dynamic, and that helps our kids to grow up together. Like all of them consider one another sibling. Even Shakira's daughter Kendall, that's their sister.
Yeah. If you
That's my best
if
friend.
you if you say anything other than sisters, they're gonna correct you and say, no,
Yes.
that's my sister.
And that is how we want them to come up. We want them to come up in love and to be around each other and to grow up with one another. That's important to us. So it's going to continue. Like, where's she gonna go? she she can't go anywhere.
Yeah, but
So
I
we're
think
stuck.
you
Yeah, we're
both will.
stuck. We've been stuck with one another for years now. We're not going anywhere at this point. That's no. So I like that we've all come together even more in the midst of this tragedy.
Well, Ronnie was somebody who brought people together, and not just with his family, but I've heard that from like everybody who's worked with him, people that are friends with him. Ronnie brings people together. Um, and you and Shakira are very different from each other. I feel like you bring like a sense of simplicity, honestly. Like you can kind of put things into perspective very quickly, whereas me and Shakira both are pretty wild. So like, when we get fired
I
up,
heard.
and then yeah, I mean, there's been some really tense moments,
And I
and like,
read.
but with Shakira, I think Ronnie has taught and left Shakira with so much restraint that she didn't even know she had. Um, One of the things that he would say to you all the time, Shakira, is breathe. And I've heard you like r- remind yourself of that so many times throughout this year that I've known you and worked with you. Um, I feel
Yeah.
like he is still here guiding everybody, and he still has a part in all of this.
Mhm.
So in your futures, without him, I think it's still very much with him. So when we talk about we've talked about the investigation, we've talked about kind of how it all jumped off, what parts were instrumental, what was helpful. Uh, what do you think like the lessons are over the last year? I remember saying in the very beginning, we'll look back in a year, and I said, don't worry about it. I'll keep very good notes. We'll have our timeline down. I will make record of everything. But as I look back through all the notes that we've made, it just reminds me of so many things that we've been through, different parts of this that we've experienced. What do each of you think the lessons are in this? Mr. Dumas, we'll start with you.
um, I didn't hear a question. I was being distracted, but this
What
whole
do you think the
year,
lessons are? What have you learned by going through
love,
this?
love, continue his loving ways, and remember him in that way. I mean, he was a good guy. Continue to think that. He loved his children. Continue that. He was a pioneer. The man wanted to work. The man was doing new things. He had more ideas in his pocket. So he's greatly missed. The things he could have done in that year is astounding. He would have been more greater today than he was that day. He'll be missed, and God bless Kai. A young man should not grow up without a father, and they were so tight, so tight. You know, um, wow. The things he can teach a son, the things you can teach a son. You know how important that is. The things you can teach a son, and we need more men in this world. Certainly, black men. We need that. Now, his father's missing. That's a travesty. That's a travesty.
Shakira, what about
Girls,
for you?
girls need their father. Who gonna tell them when to say no? Who gonna tell them? You got to learn how to say no. And don't go for looks. You can't do that. You got to get. You got to know what you're doing out here in this world. And that's what Ronnie was going to provide. That's what Ronnie can still provide once we find him.
Shakira, what do you think the lessons are for you over the last year?
Goodness gray. I have learned so much. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned that I'm mean when I'm grieving. But I will say that, man, just a lot of the stuff that, Ronnie has talked to me about and tried to instill in me and show me, I've literally had to put that into play this year about taking a step back, breathing, because when when you're in a situation where you know a person and you're trying to advocate for that person and outsiders are, coming up with scenarios that you just know are no, there's no way that that's what's happening. So I've literally had to just step back, take a moment, um, just figure out how to navigate these difficult situations and navigating trying to figure out how to find Ronnie without being able to call Ronnie and be like, "Hey, what should I do now?" Like that's been one of the most difficult things. So there's been so many lessons, and I just would say for anybody that comes to this situation, advocate for your loved one, stand up for your loved one, fight, do whatever it is that you got to do. Make sure that flyers are made. Make sure that your loved one is put into NamUs. Don't stop fighting.
Something that I'm really proud of you for that I've seen you do periodically is you have in times taken care of yourself. We've talked a lot about that too in some of those times. But you've recognized, when you need to take a moment, and you've done that. I mean, you haven't disconnected from his case or stopped fighting to find him, but you have taken time to preserve yourself for those busier moments. And I mean, you've been the voice of this case since the day it started. That's a lot of responsibility. And you've been through a lot yourself, in the last year, just outside of this case, just life, at the same time. So I'm proud of you for that.
Thank you.
Talia, what about you? What do you think has been the lesson for you?
Um, a lesson that I've learned this year a lot is being patient, um, allowing allowing things to just take its course.
It's hard when
Um,
you don't have control over anything.
it is very difficult, and for those who know me well. So sitting back and mommying during this case has been very, very difficult. Um, but it was necessary. It wasn't something that I appreciated in the beginning. But now, a year later, I realized that it was necessary for me to sit back more and manage the mommy portion of this aspect
Well,
because
with that
Mercy.
being said, though, I
Yeah.
mean, while you were mommying, you would call me on a Thursday night or a Tuesday night, and you'd be like, what's going on? I'm here. Whatever you need, I'm here. I'm ready. Just tell me what you need. And I would tell you what we're doing. And, I'd be like, call me back in a couple days. I'll fill you in on how it goes. I tried to keep you, um, just in your role, and I knew that that was important. And when you have young kids like that, um, I don't know, like, I I've been there. I have 3 kids myself, so, yeah, I
Yeah.
know that there's a lot of that, but you haven't been disconnected. I mean, you were even when you weren't, going with us and, hanging flyers or whatever, you were on my phone.
I was
So,
doing the Christmas shopping while y'all were hanging flyers. So
yeah.
I was in the background,
Yeah, she shopped for
background doing my
everybody.
thing. So my position was different and it needed that. That's kind of one of the things that we learned from Ronnie. He loved
Yeah,
everyone had a role.
everybody has a role.
And
Mhm.
so you learn to navigate within your bubble, even if you're not always, happy about it. But you learn to navigate because it's necessary. All positions are necessary to reach the end goal.
Deidre, what about for you? What do you think the lessons have been for you?
Mm. There's been a lot. Mainly, I think what I've noticed the most is how much of an impact he made on me, and not just me, my kids, because they still talk. They still talk to me about him all the time. And so I think the lesson I had to learn was what to do when you can't control situations. And you guys kind of hit on a lot of the stuff that I was gonna say, but it's like I am the type of person I need control, and that's one thing he always got on me about. Well, he was like, "You can't control everything. You gotta relax, relax." And I'm like, "Chill out."
I
I
think
can
he like that in
control
the
this,
women.
right?
Yeah.
Like I can control
Said what
this,
control?
like chill. But I have learned how to kind of step back. Like I said, I really wanted to be more involved with Shakira and them and everything that was going on because I know it was a heavy load to carry. And so, not being able to do so, I was kind of kicking myself heavy. But I had to realize, like, do what you can. And with his abduction or disappearance, however you want to call it, I learned that I need to start listening to myself more, following my gut, because in that call I really did want to ask questions, but I was like, nah, I don't want to pry, even though he was always in my business. Always in my business. If I'm out, where y'all at, what you doing, who you with, oh the kids there, oh y'all, I mean just all up in it. And so it wasn't like it was uncommon to do, but in that moment I don't know what it was. I was just like, I'm not gonna do that. He sounded like he was some girls, he's having fun, whatever. I thought they were at like a lounge or something, it was so loud, but I wanted to ask those questions and I did not ask those questions. And it was on me heavy to do so. So I was like, after that, I said, from now on, I'm never second guessing myself. I'm gonna listen to my gut instinct. When I feel like I need to do something, just go ahead and do it. And I keep in mind one thing that he continued to say to me is one foot when I ask him, how do you do it? You work in these jobs, you taking care of you with the kids all the time, like you're so involved with so many different things and aspects of life. How do you handle it? And he always said one foot in front of the other, one day at a time. And so anytime that I feel like I'm struggling, whether it's with not being able to pick up my phone and call him, and I ain't gonna lie, I still end up looking at my phone like, oh crap, I probably missed a call from him already. And then realize like, yeah, no, you didn't. And
I
so,
remember the day Ronnie's phone got disconnected.
Yeah.
You
oh my
freaked
God, you
out.
oh my, I think I probably called you like instantly. I was like, Troy, it's not working no more. It's not working. I called it 2 hours ago and it was fine.
Well,
Yeah,
and then
because
they gave his number away. They gave his number away to somebody else like in
and I
a
was
couple weeks' time.
And that was really quick. And the girl was getting all my messages and she didn't say nothing. She wasn't saying nothing. And so I ended up knowing that they gave the number away. I'm like, because I ended up calling again because I'm like, let's just see. And she answered the phone. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was trying to figure out who had this number. Yeah, and but then I was sitting there like, why? It was so weird. Why didn't you tell me that to ask? Why didn't you ask me to stop texting your phone? Like you just
Probably
over
put
there
two and
having
two
a whole moment.
together that she, got so many messages because I still was sending messages like,
Me too.
like he was going to respond back. So you
Right.
probably put two and two together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
had to because I was just like, she had to get tired of me. She
Yeah.
had to have been tired. But I learned to take it one day at a time and to really just not try to control everything, know what I can control and what I can do and what I can't, and just keep moving.
Byron, what do you think the lessons have been for you?
Honestly, it really hasn't been no lesson. So for me, this whole situation was a reminder to remember where I'm from.
Mm,
That I I was, even though I didn't grow up in the best situation in Chicago, it reminded me to always keep my head on the swivel at all times. It always reminded me to make sure that I'm protected. It always reminded me that, as we say in Chicago, to not get caught lacking.
mm,
And that is what this situation did for me. It reminded me to remain true to myself, which is being a Chicagoan. Even if it pisses people off, even if it's somebody that doesn't understand you because they from the South or whatever, I don't care. I know for a fact that not getting caught lacking, I'm not gonna be in no situation like this because I don't want people to feel the way I'm feeling over bro over me. Because the way I hurt, I don't want nobody ever to feel that. And it's tough every single day. And I still got my feelings towards, the actions of people that's supposed to, protect and serve, but it is what it is, Thank God we got James. Thank God we had did our own stuff. Because had we not did our own stuff, imagine where we'd be at right now. We probably know nothing. I will still have a person saying that people that who love and care for this man so much is involved in it. You know what I'm saying? We have people that had a doo-doo face. This is what I like to say. Laurie's face. You know, I couldn't come to that arraignment for old girl because I probably would have been in jail. Because I probably would have hopped over the counter and started choking her like, where's Ronnie at? And that's to be
I'm
honest.
definitely glad you didn't go.
And I know I would have did that because I would have lost it. Because I mean, I have moments where now I just get so fucking pissed. I I I've had moments throughout this whole year where I just be begging for somebody to just break in my house. Like, please come try to clean some evidence up. Please, I want you to get all of this 556 out of 762, every little bit of it, and then you're gonna be on the news. Local missing realtor's friend shot the hell out of somebody on WAFF tonight. That's literally how it be. Like,
So I
so that
think that there's been a lot of times, like, it's been sad. I mean, this is sad. We've all been through the moments of sadness, but they have been over throttled by moments of like anger and frustration and like we had to take the reins and keep them. There's been, a lot of I think we've all felt responsible for finding Ronnie or for pushing this case to where it is. From the first moment of getting it into the media to the last moment of I mean, the FBI didn't just show up. Shakira hunted them down. That's how they got there. And I mean, we've had to do that every step of the way. And Deidre, you said the word intuition. Shakira, do you remember our first conversation? And I told you there is something about a woman's intuition, and we are going to let that guide us. And I think we have used intuition throughout this entire process to know when to raise hell, when to bow down, when to be quiet and watch and listen and be observant, and when to get in the car and go get it done. Remember when we showed up to the um, community meeting and they had all those police on the way there, and I was like, what is going on? And then as soon as I rolled up in the parking lot, uh, they were out there to meet me. Byron, you were there. And then we learned at the end of that meeting, which was very cordial, we actually made great use of that. At the end of the meeting, HPD was hiding in a room next door with equipment in case we were rowdy. And it's always felt like we were doing something wrong or we weren't supposed to be doing it the way that we were doing it, but thank God that we have, and thank God that we did. I'll share too my what I've learned, my lesson throughout this. It's definitely that I have an interesting perspective because when I show up, everybody's there, and we all have different groups of people that we hang out with or that we know. We're different with family than we might be with friends, or different with work friends than we might be with relationship friends. But when I show up, everybody is there, and the only thing that's missing has been Ronnie. um and I have different relationships with each of you, and that's something that I am thankful for. There's been times where I've wanted to fight Ronnie myself, and there's been times where I literally just
Oh my God.
wanted to save him. You know, it's been so frustrating trying to figure out, like, what happened that night before we knew that he was abducted. You know, what happened that night? And, you know, to learn what we've learned since then, I think the lesson that I have learned is that danger is everywhere that we go. And, you know, I think Ronnie ended up in a situation that he had no idea he was walking into. Some may think that, you know, he was, you know, doing something and like ended up in this situation, but I don't think it happened like that. We still don't know exactly how it happened, what happened, how he ended up there with the people that he was with, but I think it could have happened to any of us. So I've learned definitely um, to build relationships like Ronnie built them, because what I have experienced since meeting all of you has been like a gift to me. And I know that's how Ronnie constructed each of these relationships with each of you. And also that we should share our location, and we should, you know, talk more with somebody that we trust about like what we're doing and who we're with. I think that's important. This is the only case that I have that is like unsolved, if you will. We know who the suspects are, but we don't have Ronnie back. So that's been tough for me. I feel a sense of responsibility. I've promised each of you, like, we're gonna find him. So as we now venture into, you know, the prosecution and we don't have Ronnie back, hope is a word that we've used a lot. You know, there's been times where I've brought reality conversations to the table, and while you all have accepted those terms of reality, you've also countered that with hope. What does hope look like a year later in this situation where we are now to each of you? We can just go around. Shakira, I guess we'll start with you.
For me, my hope is just for answers and that he is found. We want to bring him home in any condition, whatever that condition may be. I would love for that to be with breath in his body and a smile on his face. But at the end of the day, I just want to have closure in this situation. I want to be able to explain to my son, this is what happened. This is how we are going to move forward. Um, but yeah, we just want to know what happened to him, and we want him home.
What about for you, Taya?
The same. We definitely want to close this up. Um, my hope is that the support our children are getting is real support. They're all in counseling. We're all in counseling. That we're able to take these tools and not allow this experience to be detrimental to their life in the long term. Um, there he comes home.
What about you, Mr. Dumas?
I want Ronald found, and I don't want to accept anything less. The two people that are captured, hope they get what they deserve. And from one of my favorite movies, and I hope they burn in hell.
Deidre, what about you?
Y'all agree with you.
Yeah, we stand right beside you in that for sure.
Completely.
Deidre, what does hope feel like for you? Hope has been I mean, you have themed this entire situation with the word hope.
Hope to me right now is the same as it was the first week, the same as it was in the beginning of the year, middle of the year, this and today. It's all the same, is that he is found. I still have hope that he can be found alive because, you know, circumstances haven't shown us anything different yet. And we know that wilder things have happened. Let's just be real. Wilder things have happened. But I also hope that no matter what the result may be, that we're all able to manage. And even more so that the kids they realize the support system and the community they have around them, and that they're able to get through it in a better way than most people would. And that's what my hope is that we can just, no matter what happens, we all just are able to make it and, find that strength in each other.
I hope that Ronnie's children look back at everything that we've done over the last year and that we will continue to do, and that they find comfort in knowing that we have done everything that we could. And we have left nothing untouched or undone. And we have worked tirelessly to find answers, to find Ronnie, to keep this going, without settling in and saying, okay, I guess we just have to give up. We still today, a year later, have not given up. And the question that I just asked you each about hope proves that very much. I also hope that each of you stay bonded together forever, for the rest of your lives. That the family that you've become in this situation continues to be. You each draw so much from each other, and everybody has like a different personality, but I think it's a beautiful thing that that has transpired without Ronnie, but because of him, since he's gone missing. So that's my hope, and that each of you, when you miss him and you feel empty without him or lost, that you can feel his guidance and like what he would tell you to do. I know each of you depend on him very much for that very thing. And so just, I hope that you never lose that, as long as you have to live without it. You're right that, there's no indication, and that's, Mr. Dumas has asked me many times, is he gone completely? And I've said every time, we don't have anything to prove that he is no more. And until we do, I can't say that because I could be wrong, and I hope I am. It's possible, but we are always going to be in that unsure phase until we do find him. So I think we still have a lot of work to do. Byron, what does hope feel like for you at this time?
I can't answer that question, man. I don't even have it right now, to be honest with you. It's like I was hopeful at the beginning because action was gonna happen, but that action, and so you know, I'm also just want to find Ronnie. You know, we can stay and hope that he's still alive, but I don't know. If Ronnie was a millionaire, it'd be different. But no.
That or a criminal.
So I'll say that moving forward, this is the 1 year mark, and everybody's done a lot of media this week to mark that 1 year. All these little anniversary moments, they just kind of seem to come out of nowhere. Like, we know when they are, but they seem to sneak up. They're overwhelming, and I know that. I know that every time I ask each of you to show up on your lunch break and not eat lunch to do an interview or whatever to keep Ronnie's story alive. I know it's a sacrifice. I know you've had to pull yourself in different directions to be able to do that. I thank you. It's been necessary. But I do think that this is probably one of the last opportunities that we get, unless there's like a break in the case, until it goes to an actual trial, to a prosecutory phase. I know there's like a bit of a hard time shifting into the prosecution without having Ronnie back. And if we don't find him soon, then we're going to be doing both at the same time. I think there's still more to do to find Ronnie. There's more that we can do. And Shakir and I just talked about that the other day. So I think we're going to start looking at maybe some plans to try to find Ronnie and go into some of these areas where we think he could be. But, you've only lived half of this today. This is, all the breath that's been knocked out of you. You're gonna have to find a way to get it back in you, because the prosecution phase is gonna be hard, and we have to show up, we have to be there, and we have to stay as persistent with that as we've done with this investigation. So I'll be here with you guys as long as it takes, and then thereafter, is there anything that anything that anybody wanted to say that I didn't ask, or that you want to say?
I did want to add, because we were talking about how Ronnie has impacted us. And one of the things that me and Talia were doing was going through our group messages, and I searched all the messages where he told me to breathe. And there were so many of them. It was to the point that sometimes he would say it and sometimes she would say it. But yeah, I feel like finally have learned exactly what he meant. And I got my first tattoo in memory of him always saying that. It says it's a rose and it says breathe. But
Oh,
I just, yeah, I just that one short word, and it's so meaningful to me, because literally in these moments where I feel like my world is crushing and nothing's coming together or adding up, that's all I can do. So that's why I have it right on my arm, so I can look down at it and breathe.
I've seen so much growth in you in the last year, like from the first time that we met to today. Um, wow, you've like matured as a woman, as a mother, as a person. You've slowed down, and like I bet in all those moments where Ronnie told you to breathe, not one of those moments did you ever tell yourself to breathe.
Well, I was irritated. Like, even he got
Don't
me a
tell me to breathe no
bracelet.
more.
I think it was Mother's Day. He got me a
Yeah.
bracelet that said breathe. And
Mhm.
I was so angry, but it was a beautiful bracelet, and I still wear it. But yeah, I'm so glad that that's something that he said to me, and I'm glad that everybody else picked up on it too. Even now, when I get flustered, other people know to say that to me. Like Misha says it to me now, and I'm like, oh, y'all making it worse.
I've been afraid to say that to you because I've seen you go through some things where I've thought telling you to breathe would probably make it worse.
Well, now it's not a bad thing. Now I'm receptive now. I take it in and I actually listen.
You do a good job. I could not, I mean, and I've told you, like, I wish every case had somebody like you. You have been the glue, even where like you've been tempered down or like far removed, or all the things that have happened. You remain, the drive and the force in finding Ronnie. Like, if we didn't have you in this case from the beginning and staying at it the way you have, like, to really imagine where it would be, I don't even think he'd be a poster. I mean,
Now, something
maybe
you said when you were like, you want the kids to be able to look back and say, you know, they did everything they could. That's really what's drove me. That's what's motivated me. Like, I want Kai and the girls to be able to say, you know what, they did everything they could to find our daddy.
Yeah, that's so important to me as well. I think about it a lot. I've been, very emotional about this case, and I'm emotional about every case, but not uncontrollably. And I mean, there's been times throughout this where I've seen each of you go through things, and I just I hurt. I hurt with you, I hurt for you. I love each and every one of you, and I know that we will always have a relationship. It's crazy that it's like this, that we were strangers a year ago, and now y'all know me so well. Shakira, you called me out quicker than my own family or my own kids or anybody. Um, and it's like before I even know I'm doing it, you've already called it out. I don't appreciate that,
You're
but
welcome.
you know me. But yeah, we all know that we're in this for the long haul together, and I don't know. I think we'll get through it, but it is what it is. So, well, we still have the $10,000 reward. Um, you know, I'm not sure that anybody out there besides the criminals do have information. That's the reality of it. But if they do, I would hope that this a year later would really be wearing on their conscience. And if we can just find Ronnie, we'll let investigators do their job about who did what and where and how it happened. And
Exactly. I'm to the point where all I care about is where he is.
yeah, a latitude and a longitude would just be fine.
Yeah, perfect.
So
Right.
I hope that we can get that. And if we do, we have that $10,000 reward. So our hotline 256-254-4240 and crimedesk.tips. We're still taking tips. So also HPD today renewed their inquiry into the case. So if you call our hotline, you can dial 0 and be connected directly to HPD's dispatch. And I'm sure, we'll do this again sometime. But in the meantime, I thank each of you for joining me tonight, and we'll just keep at it.
Thank you, Troy. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right, Joy.
Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a blessed night.
All
All
right.
right, I
y'all
need to call
too.
the kids tomorrow.
All right. Talk to you later, Papa.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Yep.
night. Good night.